kick of the ball by Didier Drogba. Yeah, it's the greatest night in Chelsea history. Champions of Europe at last.
Welcome to the Blue Stands podcast. This is our first episode in this new channel. I'm the host, Miz, and I've been joined by the co-owner of the Blue Stands, who's Vince. We do have another co-owner, Jake, but hopefully he'll feature down the track. He's just on a bit of a break at the moment. So without further ado, let's get straight into this podcast today, and hopefully all the listeners, you end up enjoying it, and hopefully down the track we will bring you more and more of these podcasts throughout the week. First of all, Vince, just want to say how you doing and what's been happening at your part of the world, and how's the lockdown treating you at the moment?
Yeah, I'm fine. Miss, thank you very much for having me on the pod. It has been, a weird time, for everybody. Over this place. Everybody is locked up, just like with most places all over the world. So nothing much is happening. We miss football. We miss our social life. We miss almost everything about our lives. So it's crazy. I've not seen anything like that before. In fact, not many people alive today have seen anything like this before. So we're just trying to get used to it and then move on with our lives.
No, very, very true, Vince. It's been so difficult for me as well, and just like you said, it's been very difficult for many people. The boredom is now really kicking in, and with no football, I think everyone's just looking back at some previous matches and trying to stay connected with football. So it's good time to bring this podcast, and hopefully people get a bit more entertainment throughout this time. Now let's get into it. What we've got lined up is few interesting topics, and I want to end the whole session down the track with talking a little bit about the Blue Stands, so that our listeners understand what we're doing and what we're up to in this particular publication, I suppose we can call it. But first of all, I want to start off with a very I suppose a simple yet somewhat complicated topic, but I want to hear, as this is our first episode, I want to hear from you, Vince, and I'll give you my opinion as well on it. I want to talk about Frank's first season with us at Chelsea, basically making an assessment of what we've sort of thought so far up until the lockdown. So the question for you is, Vince, what's your assessment of this season so far, what you've seen? And, from the beginning throughout the middle portion where we went through our winning streak, then we've had a very strange, up and down sort of season. And then right at the end before the lockdown, we seem like we've clicked into gear. So talk to me from Frank's perspective, what you thought, and then talk to me from the players' perspective, what you thought, where the progression was going.
Well, I think it has been a wonderful season in many ways, because nobody, I think, no Chelsea fan, would have rejected fourth place in the beginning of the season. So Frank Lampard was brought in, and not too many people, knew what to expect. But that's usual, that's normal, because he hasn't been in the game as a coach for a long time. So in Championship, being with Derby and being in the Premier League is, that's a different ball game. Also, but what Frank has done so far with the keys, especially, he has given Chelsea an identity. And let me put it this way: when you play kids, when you play on under 22, under 23 players, then there will always be inconsistency. That's normal. That's something that you have to expect. So looking at it from that aspect, knowing fully well that we had that transfer ban, we had to use the keys. There wasn't any much choice because we had to use them. Frank Lampard, knows these guys with alongside his assistant Jody Morris. They don't know these players, so it wasn't difficult for them to know who to pick, and who to have in the team and who not to have in the team. So it was easier for them in the beginning, to select these players. That's one. Then going to the second part of it is playing these players in the Premier League. That's a different ball game. But they did. And people like Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount, those guys, haven't played in the Premier League before. Sorry, Abraham had played in the Premier League with Swansea, but had a lot of injuries and didn't play a lot. But they were coming from the Championship. That's different from Premier League with Tomori and also, with other youngsters. So now, when you look at it in perspective, you cannot just say that we haven't had a good season. We've had a wonderful season, if you ask me, because they are building a team. It's not like they had everything set up for them to come in and then roll along. So it was building from the scratch, and they had to do that their own ways. And if you know Lampard, if you if you followed him during his derby days. He had this up and down season, and yet again he had a lot of kids in that team as well. But later on down the season, before the playoffs, 10 games before the playoffs, they kick in and they were like beating everybody. So sound, so tactically sound, so solid, and even Leeds United, that trampled upon them earlier in the league, they got them in the playoff and beat them. So now you look at him; he's that kind of person. I'm talking about Lampard now, and he's the kind of coach that tries a lot of things. He doesn't stick to something and say, "This is what I want to do. I want to flow with this. Whether it's working or not, I have to stick with it." Just like Sarri, he doesn't have that kind of philosophy. So what Frank does is he always try and try. If it's not working, he will change. If it's not working, he will change. He will keep on changing players, changing formation, and then get to his main team. And I thought before the break, we were seeing a different Chelsea. We were more solid. We were winning games, and we were even though we had a lot of players injured, but he had before that period, he had already knew the players very well, and he had a team, and even introducing Gilmore helped. But still, the team in general, they improved massively towards at the end of the break. Judging by what I've seen, I think next season will be very interesting, because now he will have the transfer window to buy players. He has already brought in ZH, and he's going to bring in a couple more. And now having a little bit of stability from the back line to the to the strikers, to the attackers, next season is going to be very, very interesting. And if we can finish top 4 this season, I bet you we are going to chase top 2 next season. There is no doubt about that, if everything goes according to plan.
No, absolutely well said, Vince. I think I'll have to agree as well. Going into the season, if someone was to tell me that we were going to be still 4th before the lockdown, I would take that every day of the week, even though I personally have backed Lampard from the get-go, thinking that we were good enough to come 4th. And I've said it many times that, looking at all the different teams in the Premier League, and even though we lost Eden Hazard, I just thought that besides Liverpool and Manchester City, every other team is probably in the same level as us, and we were fair game to basically get top 4. So knowing that we are still inside the top 4 is, it's perfect. What I want to ask you next is, what was your expectation moving into the season when we heard the news, finally at the end of last season when Sarri was leaving and it was sort of getting confirmed? What was your expectation knowing that Lampard's coming in and, there's the transfer ban, and obviously, he's going to have to integrate a lot of youth, as you've said, it was always going to be a bit up and down. But is that was that your expectation from the beginning as well, that it was going to be a bit tumultuous season?
Exactly. Now, have to understand you're only a stupid person will think that Lampard will come in and win the league without the best player in the league losing Eden Hazard. Only a stupid person will think that way. And knowing fully well that we are going to lose Eden Hazard, and Lampard was coming in, and we are not going to buy new players. I'm not going to lie. Definitely, I was so scared. I wanted Sarri to remain because he has already been with the team a year, and he's only going to get better even with Hazard because he already knows the team. But it is what it is. Definitely. Answering your question now, definitely, I was so scared. I didn't expect Lampard to do this well. I was so scared. But having come in and then showed what he wants to do, and not scared of bringing in the young players, and then showing us the style of football that he wants to play, and he's very exciting. And the most important thing, the most interesting aspect of Lampard, his attitude. One, he's trying to transfer his attitude to work, the kind of attitude he had as a player, to the players as a coach, and that's one thing. When you have a coach that has that kind of attitude, he's like having a captain that is pushing the players. So he's like having a captain and the coach, are joined together. And so he has that attitude, or never say die. I have to work and work and work and work and work. And it shows in the way he works, and it shows in the way he picks players. Like he has said many times, if you do not train the way he wants, you are not going to play. So he has that attitude, and he has given Chelsea players, especially the young kids, a platform. I mean, a very good platform, working hard platform, work to succeed. And let me tell you the truth, no matter how the amount of talent that you have as a player, especially youngster, that if you do not work hard every single day, then you're not going to make it. Most big players in the world, they are the hardest workers. Most people believe that the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, they don't work enough. They just walk through the training and joke and go home. No, those guys, they are the hardest workers. The best of the best in the world, as we speak, are the hardest workers. In fact, I remember Alex Ferguson saying that he has not seen, all through his life as a coach, he has not seen a player so driven, to succeed like Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's quite a statement, because Ferguson, has had big players before in his career, so that's what I'm trying to say. You look at the likes of Mason Mount, the Tammy Abrahams, the work they put in, I mean, in every single match, they run themselves to the ground. That's Frank. That's what Frank is trying to get these players to do. Now, it's easier to get the youngsters to do that than the more experienced ones to do that. But they will come around, but it will take time, because they're already used to certain aspects of football that Frank may not like and all that. So, but getting the youngsters to play the way he wants, is going to be gigantic for this club, especially going forward, because definitely we are going to have more and more youngsters coming up, as long as Frank remains the head coach at Chelsea Football Club. So far so good. I mean, I'm just so happy for him. Happy for Chelsea. He's working so far, but at the beginning, no. I wasn't sure what to expect. Yes, I wasn't sure what to expect. But if you remember on Twitter, I was ranting, what? That we should do everything humanly possible to keep Sarri, man. It's not like I didn't trust Lampard, but I knew there was going to be trouble, because Lampard, he's still inexperienced as a coach, and we have transfer ban, and we have our best player leaving. Everything was against him, man. Everything was against him, but he has proven that he is going to be a world-class coach in the future.
Nah, spot on, Vince, man. I think I've probably been in the same boat, even though I absolutely remember how when the management changed, you were definitely a bit worried, a bit scared. I remember your tweets. I think I was probably the opposite. I wasn't worried. Internally I was worried, but I wasn't expressing that. But I think every fan probably will sort of understand your point of view, knowing that it is Frank's first season in the Premier League after only having one season in the Championship. So, and then on top of that, transfer ban and Eden Hazard leaving. But with all that, said, he's come out of it very, very well, as you said, and then it's great to see the amount of hard work that he's put in this season as well. What I want to ask you now is, where do you think? I mean, we've now praised him. We've taken the time to praise him, but I want to take the next opportunity to understand from you, where do you think throughout the season where you were a little bit disappointed by Frank's approach, where you thought maybe he could have done a bit better here, or maybe he could have done something differently in certain situations? So I want to ask you first, from Frank's point of view, and then we'll get into the players. Where do you think that Frank probably could have done a bit better this season?
Well, in two departments. First, the centre back department. He was swapping centre backs, almost every single game, and that brings uncertainty. That brings instability and all that. It's not a good thing. Every coach will tell you that having an assured pair of centre backs day in there or match in match out, will always make the team better. So, but no, I get it. He is trying to get the perfect blend, and knowing fully well that we have centre backs that are almost similar in qualities, not just in qualities, similar in level. So, but he had to do what he had to do. But then the second department is the midfield. Now I'm not an advocate of playing rotational midfield. I mean, I like my midfield to be positional, where to move and when to drop and where to drop and where to roam and all that. But for Lampard, he wants his midfielders to express themselves, to run wherever they want, to be free. He wants his midfielders to be free, to press where they want and all that. I get it, because when you have midfielder like that, when they play good football, it's like playing in the park, running after the ball, passing it where you want, saying where you want. But what it does is, when you are defending, it disorganizes the whole team. Because maybe you want Kante, on the right, and he overroomed to the left, and nobody from the left, comes back to cover the right and all that. So it becomes a problem for the team. So that's why 95% of coaches in world football want their midfielders, positional. So it helps a lot, to mold the team. It helps a lot, to keep the shape of the team. It helps a lot, for the players to know their roles. So that only these two departments. But apart from that, I like the brand of football. I like, the energy. I like, the attack. Even though Tammy Abraham was playing, ahead of Giroud, but he held his own. He produced, I think, goals and 3 assists in the Premier League so far. Is no joke for a kid like that. So the attack was okay, knowing fully well that we have shortage of players in attack, especially in the wings. Not shortage, maybe shortage of quality. Let me put it that way. But overall, I think he has done well. That defense will be sorted out. Maybe next transfer, or by next season, he will know exactly the two centre halves that are going to be his first choice. Then the midfield. Well, you can play rotational, you can play positional, but the most important thing is to get it right. If you're playing, any way you like, but just get it right and make sure the players know what they are doing, and make sure that they do not commit so many mistakes. All of these work. Even playing rotational works. But the players, they need to know, each other inside out, to know when this person likes to move, to know when to block this space for this person who is moving and all that. But once they get it done, once they master each other's games inside out, then they will get it right. It will flow. There won't be holes. But it's very, very difficult, way to play. That's why coaches do not like that. But I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's possible. It can work. So, but so far, like I said earlier, towards the end of before the break, the team was getting better. The midfield was gelling better. The movements was getting better. The solidity was getting better. We were not conceding too many chances. So let's say I had a few reservations about his approaches, but so far he has proven to get things done, and he's getting it done. And make no mistake, we still have a long way to go, but there is light at the end of the tunnel already.
No, once again, I have to agree with this as well, that I think the consistency part is something that I probably was a bit annoyed as well. But I guess at the same time, it's probably understandable because he needed to see everyone play and see exactly what they're capable of. So as you said, the centre back pairing, I wanted someone, a pair that could be consistent and reliable. And once you have that, then other players around you start feeling confident as well. Like your goalkeeper, it's a lot easier for a goalkeeper when they have a particular centre back pairing that is regular. Then the chemistry can build, and not just the goalkeeper. The entire team starts feeling a lot better. And as you said, the constant changes in the midfield as well. But hopefully next season, Frank is getting closer and closer to understanding, what is his regular sort of starting lineup. And then, once the style is sort of embedded into the system, then he can introduce any players that he wants, just like Liverpool. And then, it won't even seem like that players are getting replaced or rotated, because it will feel like a particular system is, being carried out. So, to sum it up, I suppose, I'm agreeing with you in the sense that probably this season he needed to do this. Hopefully next season he won't. Before we go into the next topic, just quickly, I want to ask you 2 players that sort of impressed you this season a lot. Who would you say your 2 main players that you thought, well, I didn't expect that, but they've really, really done well?
Well, number one is Mason Mount. He's one thing to come from the academy and show potential. Is another thing to be a starter in the Premier League for a top 4 team, and then hold your game, and then perform the way he has done so far. So listen, we look at it. I have had a lot of people criticize his game on Twitter, but people always forget that he has not tried this level before. He was coming straight from the championship, after going on loan to Eredivisie. So he's one player. No, I know that Lampard was going to play him, but I didn't know he was going to play him as regularly as he has done. So that's one surprise that I have. But so far he has shown a good player he is, and has a lot of room to improve, and he's going to improve more because he's a workaholic. And when you have players who work so hard like Mason Mount, you have no doubt they're going to improve there. You have no doubt they're going to make it as professionals. I was arguing on Twitter. I was like, how do you think? What makes you think that Mason Mount will make it as a Chelsea player and all that and all that? I was like, there are a few things that you need in a youngster. You need to see in a youngster to know this player is going to make it. Mason Mount doesn't have abundant technical skills. If you have noticed, what he has achieved so far in the game is sheer hard work. It's from sheer hard work. Just like Lampard. Lampard, he was almost 25 before he started playing very well. If you have noticed, he came to Chelsea, for big money from West Ham, but didn't hit the ground running. Wasn't a standout player. wasn't anything special, but he continued to work. He continued to work, and before he knew it, he was, one of the best midfielders in the world. But he didn't have amazing technical qualities like Ronaldinho's, like those kind of players. So that's one thing. When I see a youngster like that who is willing to work, who is willing to run extra yards, on the pitch, for his team, that's one attribute not many players have. You need to have that heart, to walk yourself to the ground to the extent that you can barely walk. So when you see that from a youngster, most experienced players learn that over years. It took them, it takes some maybe 4 or 5 years, to learn how to put in years to work so hard on the pitch. But when you see in a youngster straight away from the academy, there is no way that youngster will fail as a professional, because being a professional is beyond having technical qualities, is beyond having skills, is beyond having love for football, is beyond all that. You need those things, but if you lack the will, the zeal to work, if you lack the zeal to improve yourself on daily basis, you're not going to make it as a professional in football. So any day that he's going to make it, to the top level, as a player, as a midfielder, and as a Chelsea player. Then the second player that surprised me so far this season, not really a surprise, but I will still say a surprise because of the level that he took his game, is Kovacic. So Matthew, last summer, I argued a lot on Twitter. We need to buy this guy. The price is right, but he didn't have a good first year. Many people, said no, it's not true. We rather bring back Bakayoko, and I was so invested in Kovacic, because I've seen things from Sarri, under Sarri. One is when he's on his game, he's unplayable. I saw that under Sarri. There were matches that he was unplayable. There were matches that he came in from the bench and played absolutely well. So now what he needed at that point was only consistency. And now the inconsistency came from a lot of things. One, coming from another league. Two, playing under a different weather. Three, playing under different teammates. Four, trying to adjust, to the pace of the Premier League. So many things, can make a player be up and down, inconsistent in a season, especially new players. But Kovacic, I saw those flashes, and I knew if he could overcome those problems that he had under Sarri in his first season, then he was going to be a massive player for Chelsea Football Club. And I knew the price was right. It was not like throwing your money, down the drain with an uncertain player. I knew the price was okay. The price was not too bad. It was not too wonderful if you judge him by his first season's performance. But still, there was a player in him, and that player busted out this season. That player manifested this season. That player took this season by storm. You can't just ignore his performances this season. By far, he is so far, to me personally, if you ask me, Chelsea's player of the season so far. So he's been amazing. Took his game to a whole different level. Took everything about his game, the tackles, the positioning, the runs, the dribbles, the goals. He didn't score goal under Sarri. He is now scoring goals under Frank Lampard. So he took a game to a whole different level. Even for somebody like me, who has been his supporter, he's amazing. Really, he's amazing. That's why I put him in the surprise bracket, but not really a surprise because I knew from day one what he's capable of.
No, well said, Vince. I'll have to agree with Kovacic as well. For me, he's definitely been the player of the season for us. I've said it several times that he has to be the first one in the team sheet always. The way he sort of controls the midfield, the way he knows when to dribble, when to drive straight through the middle. The amount of times that when we get pressed, he's so press resistant, and being able to, give us great transition from defense to offense. It's a shame that there's been many instances where he's put in some really good through balls, some passes, and it just didn't end up in the net. But hopefully next season we do see the benefit of those, type of play. And Mason Mount, 100%, I have to also agree that he's been fantastic. I didn't expect him to do that well as well. And then him being such a consistent player for Frank Lampard in the starting lineup. Yes, he's had the up and down season, but being a youngster, of course you're going to have that. I think my second player would probably be Tammy Abraham. For me, I actually did not have any expectation from him from the start of the season. I did not follow Tammy Abraham too much in Championship or even when he was in Swansea. So I was very skeptical, knowing that he's going to be leading our line. We had players like Didier Drogba previously and Diego Costa and so many other players. And, seeing Tammy, I just didn't have enough belief. But I'm so glad the amount of goals he scored and the attitude that he showed throughout the season. Once again, I think, playing through injury at the end might have been a bit detrimental to his performances, but it just shows the kind of attitude this kid has. And this is one reason why I'm backing him to lead us next season. Yes, of course, we definitely need another striker for competition, but I'm 100% backing him because I feel his attitude and desire is just too important for this club. Now, moving on to the next topic, I think we've covered the first topic very well and in an in-depth manner. Second topic that I want to talk to you about is obviously football has been away from us for quite a while now, and we've said that boredom is hitting in, but we understand why football is away. Obviously, we've got the COVID-19 situation. It's a very serious situation all across the world, and even more so in the likes of in UK. So what I want to ask you, Vince, is do you have an expectation that this season will kickstart again and will finish, or do you think it is probably more likely that it's going to be void, knowing that there's massive financial implications if the season is void?
Well, I said from the one that the season was never going to be voided. So I knew that the league has invested a lot. The clubs have invested a lot, in the season so far to be voided. This is not Sunday league or amateur league, so you have to understand that these clubs, they invest a lot. Everything is like throwing everything they've invested, down the drain. It's not going to work that way, So avoiding it also means, so many complicated contracts out there, being reviewed, so many cases being taken to court. So I knew from day one it was never going to be voided. So, but I also knew that it's always going to be difficult, to start this league somehow. But somehow, this league must be completed, even if it's next year. That's the way I see. If we do not complete this league, we are not going to start another one. That way you don't throw away all the hard work, that has gone into the league already. So that what has gone into the league already will remain there, and then we'll find a way to finish this league. So I know that the Premier League are working so hard to try and finish this league maybe in July. I don't know how feasible that is, but I know they are working towards doing that, and hopefully they will do that. But make no mistake, it's hard to see fans in the stadium this year. Anytime this year, it's going to be hard. So we have to embrace, watching football. In an empty stadium. So that's going to be the thing now for the time being. That will be like that all over the world, because nobody will take the risk having having fans in the stadium when this coronavirus has not been completely eradicated. So, but once the vaccine comes out, and it goes around the world, and then things will start moving. But I do not expect that to be anytime this year. So, but I expect football to continue anytime this year, because this thing will come down. Definitely, it will come down. China started experiencing this thing last year, but today, as we speak, in China, I mean, they are not returning back to their normal lives. So maybe it took them 4 or 5 months, but it's not going to take other countries that long, because they must have learned 1 or 2 things from China, who were trying so many things, when the virus broke down the place. But having said that, one way or another, I mean, the league is going to return, and I think maybe like I said earlier, in July, and that will make, I mean, the next season, the 2021, 2022 season, I mean, 2020, 2021 season, sorry, a little bit shorter. I mean, what I mean by being shorter is there is going to be a bridge in gap between the transfer window, I mean, the break, to next season, because normally we have 3 months, but now we're not going to have up to 3 months, maybe a month or a month and a half, something like that. So the players will take the hit, but at the end of the day, football is for the players. Then they make the money. So it's their business. So they have to find a way to accommodate, I mean, whatever it is the authorities, tell them to do. But all the same, I seriously believe that football will return, but when it's going to return, I'm not 100% sure, but I know it will return, and I know the season, must be concluded. This season will not be voided. So there is like, telling Liverpool, is like if you're a Liverpool fan and the FA will tell you, after working so hard, after not winning the Premier League for many years, and all of a sudden, I'm about to win it with 2 matches remaining, two wins remaining, and they are telling me the league will be voided. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. They will accept that. And the same goes with teams chasing top 4. There are teams now closing in on Chelsea, 3 points, behind Chelsea. They will tell you, we are not going to accept it, because at the end of the day, we are going to, they will believe that they are going to, finish above Chelsea. So it's like that. So there are so many, and why all these arguments will come up is because there is a lot of money at stake. Without the money, everybody will come to a conclusion and say, let this league go, let everybody rest, and then when this virus, disappears, we'll come back. But the money makes it absolutely impossible for anybody to give in. So the only people who are going to give in are people who will benefit from voiding the league, people like the teams who are, in the bottom half and hopeless. So apart from that, nobody else is going to accept, voiding the league. But like I said, the league will return. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, when you think about it, it's a very good point that you said that there is no point in starting a new season without finishing this. Every season we wait for the results of the previous season to finish so that we know what we can do next season. There's just no point in voiding this whole season and then starting a new one, acting as if nothing has happened in this whole season, which just doesn't make sense, as you said, one way or another. I also feel that we will find a way to finish this season, whether it be in July, which I highly doubt, but even if it means, by the end of this year, they find a way to finish it. And as you said, starting the next season in a shortened sort of season, or even, shortened in the sense that they'll still play all the relative games or the same amount of games. It's just they'll probably play it in more frequency. There could be like 4 or 5 games in a particular week, as opposed to 2 or 3. So yes, there's just too much money involved in this game for people to say to void. I know a lot of clubs and their chiefs have come out in recent times, have said, yeah, we agree with voiding the season, but it's just too much. We've just gone too deep into this season to void it. As much as I would love it to see it being voided, because obviously I don't want Liverpool to win the season, but at the end of the day, I don't think it'd be a very, very fair scenario. So yeah, I think you're right. into the next thing, I think we've covered this pretty well now. Into the next thing, and the final sort of segment of this episode, our first episode, I want to now talk a little bit about the blue stance. I want to ask you how it all sort of started for you, how the ideology sort of came around. Obviously, our Twitter page is doing really, really well. We've got some fantastic articles coming out. You've got some fantastic transfer, news and all sorts of news that's constantly coming out. We've got a lot of contributors that are helping us out now as well, who are producing some fantastic articles. Our blog site looks really, really brilliant now with a new look. So tell me more how this sort of ideology started for you, and where do you sort of picture the blue stance to go in the future?
Well, to tell you the truth, it has been maybe a couple of years, that I started thinking about, how to raise a site, where the fans will have a voice, where the fans will have opportunity to express themselves. Because, when you look at some fans, on Twitter, you see that they have knowledge, that it's just that they do not have a platform to express themselves even more, because Twitter is limited to a number of characters, and all that. So, but you see people doing trend like yourself and other people, other good accounts doing long trends and very interesting trends that if you put together, it will make a fantastic article. So I thought about all these things, and so sometimes, I have a journalism background. I'm a trained broadcaster, so it's something that I'm into already. I'm into media full time, so I already have a kind of experience how these things work, and how to get it started. So I never had any doubt that I could start it, and I never had any doubt that it will be successful. So it is a dream, to see it bloom the way it's blooming at the moment. It is a dream. It gladdens my heart, because I never expected it to be so successful. So looking at the picture at the moment is like, wow. Like you said, the blog, the template, the blog itself is looking wonderful. One of the best fan sites out there today. If I'm not wrong, I'm not trying to glorify ourselves a lot, but it is what it is, and you are also part of the team. You know how much that we've planned, how much we want to get better, how much we want to improve on what we are doing. And having people like you and Jake around, make these things so much easier. Now I can relax and do my news, and you people will take care of the rest. It's like a team thing, and that's the dream. I never wanted to be the chief. I never wanted to, have a blog that I'm all the CEO, the owner, and all that and all that. No, I wanted a blog where everybody will be part of it, where everybody will feel part of it. Is a fan blog, is fans blog. So I wanted everybody to feel like I'm part of this thing, and I want this thing to succeed. So, and you guys, I can't thank you guys enough, because you people coming around and accepting everything, putting everything into it to make it work the way it has worked. I'm so proud to have, owners like you guys, because, is one thing teaming up with people, is another thing being satisfied with the people that you are teaming up with. So, but so far I've been so satisfied with having you guys, on board, as part of the owners and the work that we have put in, and above all, it's not all about all three of us. It's also about the contributors, because they have come in, and at the moment we are dropping articles, serious articles, quality articles, day in, day out. It's like no rest, and these guys, they are not getting paid at the moment. Maybe tomorrow they would, but they understood that this is the certain point, and they're putting in effort, doing it unconditionally. I cannot thank them enough. I really cannot thank them enough, because without them, we three of us can't do it alone. And if the blog is always empty without articles, it doesn't really make sense. It also, I mean, against the reason why it was even set up in the first place, because it was set up for the fans to feel the energy, to feel they have a voice now, to feel that they can put out their voice, for the world to see, just like the journalists, in bigger publications, express what they think, and most of them are not even Chelsea fans, but they tell us what they think, and we have to accept it because they are the voice. And so we are trying to be a voice as well, to put out our voice out there. So let the voices clash, because we are Chelsea fans. We feel the pains. We know deep down what it means to follow Chelsea. Most of them do not know that. I see most of them in matches, dropping statements that hurt you as a Chelsea fan, but they drop it because they are not Chelsea fans. So, but they can say that. That's why most times they write articles that we feel so like, putting a dagger in your heart, but you have to accept it because it is what it is. They are doing their job, pressing yourself. As a Chelsea fan, pouring out your heart. It has been my dream, and I'm so glad that that dream has now become a reality and continue to become stronger. And we are getting better and better. We are now recording. We are just recording the first podcast, and as you know, we have plans to bring out to do YouTube channels, and then bring out what we have, on visual, so that which we with these three platforms now, like the blog, the podcast, and the YouTube. I think we are more than covered. It will be more than covered. For the time being, because these things, they take a lot of effort to make them come true. They take a lot of effort, but we are just starting. We are going to get there. No matter what it takes, we are going to get there. And I like the energy that we have. I like the energy that we have. We just believe in impossibilities. We had challenges with the blog, and we didn't go to sleep. Well, we also, okay, no problem. We are going to improve the blog one way or another, and somehow we did it, and it wasn't even planned, and just within one night we like figured out something, and then we did it, and it's like, another world. That side gives me joy. Seriously, I can say that side, it gives me joy, because we have a lot of competitions already, and I don't like, personally, if you know me, I don't like being last. Seriously, it's always a challenge to me in my life. Whatever I do, I always try. I'm always like, if these people can get it done, I can get it done. It's nothing, they don't have two heads. I can get it done. So I always try to, challenge myself, try to, be on top of the tree, not below the tree. So we had that challenge with few blogs out there doing better. Having better setup. We took that challenge and then fulfilled it. And today I can really say that we have one of the best, if not the best, good looking. Let me put it that way. Good looking, blog sites out there. So it has been a roller coaster, but I'm so glad where we have come from, and then where we have reached so far.
Now, spot on, man. I think I'll have to agree that when you first actually approached myself and Jake and a few other people, it was such a fantastic, great idea, and without any hesitation, we all joined in, and which was what, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and now looking back and where we are today, we've come a long way. As you said, we've constantly tried to improve. Our page is getting bigger and bigger. A lot of people are knowing about our particular page now. So many people retweeting, quoting us with our articles and our news. We've made the blog so much better as well, the website. And now we've stepped into the whole podcast, YouTube game as well. And, we will improve more and more as we continue on. And hopefully we become one of the best ones, as you've pictured, Vince. And hopefully we become, first in this group, which is still a while away, but I'm sure we can get there. So with that being said, this has been a fantastic first episode. Thank you to everyone that's been listening to us. We will try and bring this to you hopefully once at least a week, down the track, we might even make it even more frequent when we do have some football. For the time being, maybe once a week, we will try and reach out to our fans and our listeners and give them something to listen to in these very, very difficult times. So thank you, Vince, for taking the time and coming along. I'm sure we are going to have you again in the next one, and we will continue these type of discussions down the track. So Vince, any last words before we say goodbye?
Not really much to say other than to thank you for having me, taking the opportunity, giving me the opportunity to be on our first episode of the podcast. And then also thank you again, for accepting to anchor this show, to anchor this pod. It's not going to be easy, you know that, and you have other works to do. So, I acknowledge the fact that you sacrificed a lot to accept to be the host of this show. So, to be the host on this show. So, I'm glad, and I thank you again, for every sacrifice that you've made so far for the Blue Stance. .com. It's been amazing. We three of us, we have contributed a lot, to be where we are today. I just want to promise the fans that we are not going to relent, that we are going to get stronger and stronger. We are going to be out there, we are going to be in their faces, come what may, or no matter what happens, we are going to be out there. We are going to be out there, try to make this thing bigger. And it's only going to be bigger because I love our energy, I love our commitment, I love our drive. So putting all these things together, there is no freaking way we are going to relent. There is no freaking way we are going to relax. There is no freaking way we are going to say that we have done it, then we can't do it, that we don't have much to do. We are going to get better. We are still getting better, and we are going to, everything that we dream to do, we are going to fulfill all of them. And it's just for the fans to continue to be with us. So far, I want to thank them as well for patronizing us, reading our blogs, being there for us. Commenting, quoting, retweeting, liking. It's crazy at the moment. Every blog we put out there, gets engagement. So it's crazy. Most of our articles, get better engagement than those ones from more notable, websites. So that shows you, how far we have come, and we can only get better. Like I said, we just want to be a brand name, a big brand name, everybody can identify with. And at the end of the day, be proud of what we have done. Be proud, that our efforts, have come to become something meaningful. So it has been great. And without you guys, without the fans, without our followers, it wouldn't have been this way. But like I said, I can say many things today, but once again, I thank everyone, for making the Blue Stance, what it is today, for taking us where we have, reached today, for supporting us, for continue. I also want to thank them for their continued support, because I know they are going to continue supporting us. Yeah. So, wherever we are going to reach, with this adventure is by their making, is not by our making, because 3 people don't make a site. 3 people can't create anything. 3 people can't do anything. So, but with them there backing us, we are going. The sky is our limit. We are going to reach the heights that will surprise a lot of people. And just within 4 months, where we have reached already is just incredible. Yeah, it's just incredible. The contributors that we have, the quality of their work, their works, everything. It's incredible. It's just a dream. Fulfilling that dream is just something else. I can't put it into words, really. I'm just repeating myself, but that just tells you that I have a lot to say, and I'm so happy, for what we have been able to achieve so far.
Now, well said. I think we can definitely sense the excitement in your voice, and it's great. This is exactly how we connect with the fans. Fans listen to this, and they'll feel far more connected knowing how excited we are with this whole project that we're doing. And it's not just for us. We're bringing all the fans together, and we've got so many contributors, and I'm sure we are going to have even more contributors down the line. We're going to have the contributors participating in these podcasts as well, which will further enhance the whole fans experience. So it's exciting times. Now, without further ado, this will be goodbye for this particular episode. Thank you to everyone for listening in, and I do hope everyone joins us in the next one, which most likely be next weekend. And everyone, stay safe and stay well, and look after yourself. See you.